These are Aviav's new flagship model of full carbon wheel set called Aldo. They certainly look classy and built with a purpose. Not only built with a purpose, but individually hand built. Yes, we know that a lot of these carbon products are hand built, but these ones, Aviav, that's why you get the little card, says the person who actually made the rim and the moulding, the person who actually built the wheels themselves, and also the final inspection. There it is on the card, and it's hand signed. These wheels will come to you in a nice strong nylon wheel bag. It has carry handles and a shoulder strap that's adjustable and removable, and a left and right zip for each wheel. This is a great way of getting the wheel set to you protected. Along with the wheels comes its warranty, a unique hand-signed quality control card, tyre sealant, tubeless rim tape, tubeless valves, valve extenders, rim tape for normal tubes, disc rotor lock rings, and a special tool which will be explained later in this video. First thing you notice when you take these wheels out of the packaging is their glossy high gloss and gold wording. One side it says Aviiav Aldo, and on the other side Aviav. As well as the gold lettering, you've also got very large but black lettering. You can just see it, Aviiav. If gloss is what you like, gloss is what you'll get. Each wheel comes with its own little inspection card, so every wheel is inspected for details here, and then again hand signed. And there's one more thing, if you haven't already noticed about these wheels, it's the design of the rim. You'll not see this design in any other rim anywhere, and the reason is because Aviav have patented this design. More about that soon. Having a look at the width of the rim inside and outside. First the inside, which dictates the width of your tyre that you can have. So we've got 20.45, and the outside width, which doesn't dictate the size of your tyre much, but dictates how aerodynamic it might be with the tyre combination. So we've got 28.5. And if ever you have to put a new spoke in, hopefully you'll never have to do that, then a 5.5mm hex tool to replace the nipple and the spoke. The recommended tyre pressure for these wheels is not limited because of the rim, the carbon fibre construction, because carbon fibre is very strong. It's because of the width of the rim, the width of the tyre that you're going to use, and your personal weight. Now Aviav give you this little card, keep it very handy with you. You can look up your weight, cross it over to the sort of tyre you'll want to use. If you want to go comfortable, you might want to go to a 32 to a 35C tyre, and you look it up and it'll give you recommended tyre pressure for your weight. If you want to go to a 28, which is probably ideal, 28mm on this width of rim is ideal for aerodynamics, maximum aerodynamics, and look up your weight and then it'll give you the ideal tyre pressure. So keep this card handy with you. At the valve hole, the carbon fibre is built up a bit thicker on the rim bed and on the inside of the rim here. And if you go to the hole next door to it, either side or any of these holes, spoke holes, you can see the carbon fibre is quite thin compared to the valve hole. So another indication of good quality, they're making it a bit thicker around the valve hole where it's not necessary around each individual spoke nipple hole. And because there's holes at every nipple for access, then you're going to need rim tape, whether you're going just normal clincher or tubeless. So in the red box that's supplied, you get the rim tape, and there's enough here to do both your wheels. And this rim tape, when you put it on, then you can run your wheels either tubeless or just ordinary clincher. So that's tubeless compatible. The side of the rim is absolutely flat. You can get a steel rule put on the side and you can see absolutely dead flat. So no curving whatsoever. So dead flat, and then all of a sudden it goes to the chevron cam tail design. The middle section where the spokes are is quite wide, quite reasonably wide for a road wheel. And then it goes back to the cam tail on the other side, and then the flat side on the other. Dead flat. So what's with this funny shape on these rims? It's called chevron cam tail. The most aerodynamic shape is the teardrop, providing that the airflow is coming from directly in front. However, its large side surface area is prone to crosswinds. So it's the most aerodynamic shape if you're riding in a wind tunnel. But of course, we ride our bikes outside in massively varying conditions. However, if you take the frontal shape only from the teardrop, cutting off its tail, almost all of the frontal aerodynamic advantages are maintained whilst reducing its side area. and this makes it less prone to crosswinds than the teardrop shape. And it also makes for a stronger structure than the teardrop shape. Look carefully and you can see the camtail design being used everywhere. The automotive industry, jet engines, and yes, even a high-end aerodynamic bicycle frames. Seen this bike before? It has camtail shapes on its fork blades, down tube, seat post. Well, what a pity it's not featured on the wheels. This year's 2023 Tour de France, Caleb Ewan's Ridley frame has camtail shaping. So does the new BMC, the Look, and probably most of the other contenders as well. So expect to see the camtail design in more and more wheel sets coming onto the market. Let's have a look inside the rims, as we usually do. There's the sticker on the outside in the bed rim, Aviiav Aldo, road disc, 20-hole rim. And there you go, these rims really are made in Korea. First, let's look at the valve hole. That's the valve hole there. You can see that silver thing around it. That's actually its own reinforcing insert. Very good. That line to the left there is part of an extra layer of carbon around the valve hole. And you can see a line going across the valve hole in the center there, and another line, you can just see it on the right hand side there. So equidistant from the valve hole, it's actually a sheet of carbon fiber, probably a few sheets there, reinforcing the valve hole. Very good. Looking at another hole, here's the spoke nipple hole. You can see the end of the spoke comes to the end of the nipple there. That's perfect length. Line to the left and a line to the right indicating reinforcing around the spoke nipple hole. Every spoke nipple hole has this. So they're not drilled, they're molded in the rim process and reinforced. Excellent. Very clean too. Looking down there, no wrinkles at all. Very, very clean. Try and get a glimpse of the rim wall there. Difficult. That's the rim bed. But they're both very, very clean. Wrinkle free. Hardly any resin staining. Excellent. Let's take a look at another hole. Again, spoke length perfect. Very clean. And there's the telltale sign of reinforcing. That line across there. No wrinkling. No resin. There's a few dots on the right hand side of white resin spillage, but teeny amount. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Try and get a sideways view. There's the nipple next door, and you can see underneath the nipple, the base of it, there's the reinforcing. You can see it's a lot thicker, substantially thicker build up under that nipple there. That's the reinforcing. Very good, excellent, and everyone is like that. Every nipple's like that. No wrinkles so far. No, I haven't seen any. Teeny bit of resin spillage there on the left wall there. Excellent. Another spoke hole and another nipple there, again reinforcing. The spoke hasn't come through quite as much as on the other nipple, but that's actually the perfect length there. That's good. And looking at the underneath of the bed of the rim, clean as a whistle. Wow, these rims are really clean. Obviously they're going to be using a high pressure bladder when they form these rims. That's the way they smooth out all the wrinkles. Excellent, excellent. The join of the rim bed and the wall looks excellent. What more can we say? I'm going to have to give it 100% marks here. Can't find anything wrong. Over to the spokes now, and these are fully carbon fibre, and they're a straight pull from the hub like a nail with a straight head. So gone are the days when we used J-bend spokes. Now pretty much all these good quality wheels are made with straight pull spokes. Now printed on the spoke is a model number ST05. Now we know the ST01 spoke, I've seen them before. They're used in wind space wheels and a few other wheels that I've seen as well. But ST05, I've not heard of ST05s, and I can't see any real difference. In fact, measuring them doesn't tell us anything either, because they're the same size as the ST01s. 3mm by 1.1. So if you know the difference between the ST05 and the ST01 spoke, please let us know. The spoke count, there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 on the cassette side and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 on the brake rotor side. And the same with the front wheel, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. The spokes are crossing, and of course with carbon spokes where they cross you don't want them to touch, and they're not touching, so that's good. With steel spokes it doesn't matter so much. Now one thing I noticed straight away is they're crossing on the cassette side, which is normal for all wheels, but on the rotor side they're also crossing. Same with even the front wheel. Both sides, it's crossing. Now, as we know, crossing spokes like this is stronger than having radial spokes, radial that goes straight out. And I'll just have a wheel here just to show you. Here's a radial spoked wheel. See how the spokes go straight out? Well, that's not as strong as having crossed spokes. So if you can cross your spokes, the wheel will be stronger. So obviously with this wheel, it's stronger on the cassette side than it is on the non-cassette side. This is really good of Aviiav to have them cross evenly on both sides. Exactly the same cross pattern, 2, crossing once here, crossing again there, and same here. 1, 2. So evenly done. 10 spokes on one side, 10 on the other, an even spoke count as well. That makes for a nice strong wheel for minimal amount of spokes. Spoke tension, now I'm going to go over with the spoke tension meter, measure them all, write all the results down for each individual spoke, front and rear, put them in the app and show you the results on the graph to see how good they are. Now rather than bore you to tears with each individual measurement, you can just listen to them. So let's have a listen. Very, very good. Let's try the other side on the rotor side. Very, very good, very even. So let's try the front wheel. Pretty good. Other side. A little bit of variation, but excellent though, very, very close. So the spoke tension is higher on the front wheel on the rotor side, the brake rotor side, than the non-rotor side. But that's normal, that's good. So excellent. Let's have a look at the results digitally. So the rear wheel has one spoke that is more than 5% over-tensioned on the rotor side. And the front wheel, another single spoke, more than 5% over-tensioned on the right-hand side. Looking at the graphs, the wheel tensions seem to be quite varied, but this is illustrating a 5% variation, or in other words, a magnifying of the differences by 20 times. So we're being quite fussy, when in reality, most wheels will be like this or worse. Spoke twist. Now sometimes you can have a spoke, a blade spoke, which is straight at the rim, and as it goes, it twists slightly into the hub. Or you can get it twisted at the rim and then it becomes straight near the hub. So that's why it's essential when you use your tool to measure if it's straight at the rim and further along at the hub as well. And that's why you have to measure so many times. So for each spoke it's 2 measurements, and if there's 10 spokes times 2, that's 20 spokes times 2 measurements, that's 40 measurements per wheel. So for both wheels it's 80 measurements. Now rather than show you all 80 measurements, we'll just show you quickly the summary. Well, all the spokes were fine except one on the front wheel nearest the hub, and even that wasn't too bad, and it was close to the hub, which rotates the slowest anyhow. Well, not much to look at here folks, just a few spokes, just a smidge out, that's about all. Wouldn't even worry about it. So excellent, really good. The spoke nipples are half in and half out of the rim there, and the holes themselves are not drilled, they're formed in the moulding process. The other thing too is the spoke holes are reinforced, so there's extra carbon layering around the spoke hole. The hubs, very nice. What can you say about hubs these days? They all look the same, they're all quite nice looking, and they've got that black finish on them, and they're straight pull spokes. That's about all you can tell from the outside. Now these have got ceramic bearings and they're very smooth when you go slow, and of course very smooth when you go fast. And any decals on the hub? Yep, it says Aviiav in black, super ceramic synchro written on there as well. Let's try the front one. Slow, and it's fine, very good. Remember, when you're feeling bearings, go slow, because sometimes you'll pick up something, whereas if you spin fast it can glide over, especially if it's got lots of grease between the seals and in the bearing. No, that's fine, very good. Super smooth. Now let's have a look inside the hub. To gain access, you can't pull this side off, but you can pull that side off. So you can pull the dust cap off of that side and it reveals the axle. And that's as far as you can go. Now there's a slot on the axle there, a slot, you can see that. And that's where this tool comes in handy, which is supplied with your wheels when you buy them, with the Aviiav wheels. And you can, this slot you can just put in a piece of rod like that and undo it, or you can use this and it slots in like that nicely. And then a 17mm cone spanner on the other side, and just unlock it. And from there you can pull it apart by your hands. Here's the left and right axle cups, and there's one dust cap flange on each. Then the free hub body slides off, revealing the clutch. On the free hub there's a soft dust cap covering the outer bearing, which marries up nicely with the hard dust cap on the axle end cap. On the other side of the hub, or the rotor side, is another soft dust cap covering the bearing, and together with the hard dust cap on the axle end makes for a double seal. And instead of a coiled steel spring, there's a plate spring, which has 3 cut sections in it, which presses evenly on the gear ratchet. And then there's a spacer, and then the gear ratchet or clutch ring, and yes, these 2 rings are directly compatible with DT clutch rings, so you can change the engagements per revolution if you want to. So taking apart is easy, and putting it back together just the same way as you pulled it apart. Clutch ring, spacer washer, plate spring, and then the free hub body. The axle nut on. That's it. Turn your wheel around, put on the tool, and it only has to be nipped up. You don't do it up tight. Just put it on and just give it a bit of a tweak like that, and that's it. Beautiful. Pop your axle nut on and it's done. And free hub body is hardened aluminium. And here we go, the free hub sound. And faster. Very positive clicks. Sounds a little bit different, it's not so tinny.
Yeah, it's noisy.
And Trevor's sounds like this.
And Robbo's sounds like this. That's the noise. Really good.
He's got a very silent clutch. So what wheels have you got? This DT Swift? Yep. Yeah. So this clutch is very much like the DT Swift sound. Engagements per revolution, put the valve hole down the bottom or up the top, wherever you want to start. Hold the free hub body and just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and the valve holes up there, so you'd have 36 engagements per revolution. And with the trained ear you can hear it's 36 anyhow. If you want to go more than 36 you can, you just replace the star rings inside, the star clutches, and you can go, what, 42, 50, you can probably go to 64, something like that. I'm not sure the exact figures. But there's no point with the road bikes, you don't need to. 36 is plenty, it's just fine. For the front wheel, the end caps just pull out quite easily. And you can see here on the end caps, there's a double dust seal and a rubber O-ring in between each one. So that's a really good design, that one, excellent. And ceramic bearings on both sides, of course. And the caps just push back in again. Nice and free, so the O-rings don't impinge on the hub. Good tolerances there. Easy done. Okay, let's check the dishing of the wheels. Make sure that they're exactly central, so they run in the middle of your frame and your fork. Zero. Zero. Perfectly dished. This gauge is sensitive to 0.01 millimeter. So having a 0 dish is excellent. Zero. These guys have done their homework. Perfectly dished wheels. I don't think I've ever had perfectly dished wheels, have we? Might be a first. Right, let's see how true these wheels are. So this is the front wheel. "43, 44. Back to there. So 44, 0.44 millimetre. So let's have a look at the concentricity of the front wheel. 30, 35, 40, 40, 40. Yes, 40. We've reached 40. Now the up and down, or the concentricity, is more important than the lateral true with disc brake wheels. So it looks like it's going to be 0.4 millimetres. We're going down again. Yep, 0.4. That's okay. That's very good. So this front wheel, we've certainly seen better wheels than this. Nevertheless, it's within the 0.5 millimetre tolerance. So let's try the rear wheel. Okay, the lateral for the rear wheel, 10, 14, 15, 16, 16. Of course, the lateral is not so important again with the disc wheel because you don't have a rim brake to worry about, but it does prove how well the wheels are built. Oh, we got -3 there. Looks like -3. So that makes it 19, so 0.19 millimetre. Oh, that's very good. That's excellent. And lastly, the concentricity for the rear wheel, 10, 12, 20, 20, 23, 32, 32, 32 is going to be 0.32, is it? Oh, 0.34, 0.34. Oh, definitely acceptable. Well, the back wheel's a little bit better than the front wheel. Not the absolute best we've seen in wheels, nevertheless certainly acceptable. So you can see that a lot of these wheels now that are coming out of Asia are benefiting from the research and development done by a lot of Western companies, which we won't mention any names, but you can see the trickle-down effect. They take advantage and copy the technology, and these wheels are just coming out so good nowadays for a lot cheaper price. And now let's do what these wheels are built for. Let's put them on the bike and ride them. Put on the cassette, swap them over from the other wheels that we've been testing. Just keep swapping over the cassette and the chain and the tyres and tubes, although tyres and tubes regularly need changing. This cassette, I just looked on Strava, it's done 15,200 kilometres, and the same with the matching chain. And why? All because of waxing. So if you're going to get yourself a nice set of carbon wheels like this, and you're still oiling your chain or using some horrible swishy lube that attracts dirt and wears your drivetrain out, then that's up to you. But honestly, you should be waxing. You should be immersive waxing your drivetrain. Nice set of wheels like this. Why are you still using archaic methods of lubricating your drivetrain? So get with it, start waxing your chain. Tyres and tubes fitted just perfect. Cassettes on, rotors on. Let's put them on the bike. Bellissimo.
Several rides later.
Well, that's it for the ride this morning. We had about 8 riders out, not as many as usual because it was really windy this morning. We're expecting a cool change coming in, so it usually gets really windy. But good to test these wheels out in side conditions, in gusty conditions, and I'll get to that in a minute. First thing, aerodynamics. Now these are 50 millimeters, but they feel like 60 to 65 millimeters. They ride really fast, no problems whatsoever there. So aerodynamics, you can treat them like the 60 to 65s. Comfort, excellent. Road dampening, excellent. Comfort as in like fatiguing, you don't feel fatigued. Very nice plus there. Another point will be acceleration. Now these feel exactly like 50 millimeter rims, which they are, so when you accelerate, you can pretty much feel, oh yes, I've got 50mm rims on. They accelerate mediumly, not overly fast like a shallow quick rim, and not slow like a heavy rim. So just like you'd expect a 50mm rim. Now the other thing is, because the spokes are crossed on both sides and such a strong wheel with the crossing of the spokes, you get a good power transfer. That's one thing I did notice. When you want to up and go, they really do get up and go, and all your power seems to go to the wheel a lot better than with a slightly more flexy wheel, say with radial spokes on the rotor side. Now, stability. If I don't mention anything else about these wheels, this is the one thing I have to mention. We had 40-knot winds today. We've had windy days since because it's winter here, but this today is very, very noteworthy. 40-knot winds, crosswinds, and this is the first time I noticed a good test of these wheels. I felt the wind pushing my body across on the bike rather than the front wheel, because it's always your front wheel that's affected by the crosswinds. First time ever, and I'm thinking, wow, is it really because of these wheels? Going down a different hill, coming up, coming down, yep, all the same scenario. Even on the flats, crosswind comes, I can feel it pushing my body rather than the front wheel. So there is something in these wheels. So if you're thinking about buying deep section rims, you've never tried them before, or you want a set of wheels and you're thinking, oh, side winds, blah, 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 you've always dismissed the idea because it's a bit dangerous with side winds. Well, these are the game changer wheels. These are going to be the wheels for you. Honestly, I can tell you now, I'm not selling these wheels. They are expensive, but if you want a set of wheels that is least affected by crosswinds, but you get the advantage of a deep section, then these are definitely going to tick that box, fulfill your needs. One thing I'm going to say is they're quiet. Now, I don't mean road noise. You can still hear the road noise coming up, the vibration through the wheels like you normally do with any 50mm or any deep dish rims. But wind noise, hardly any wind noise. Now, whether that's due to the special arrangement, the shape of the rim, I don't know. But I asked a few other riders and they said, yeah, they noticed it as well. They were riding behind me and I said, yeah, they seem to be very quiet wheels. So there you go, it wasn't just me that noticed it. Two things with these wheels would have been nice to see is, first of all, spare spokes. These wheels didn't come with spare spokes. Hopefully Aviiav will provide spare spokes for wheels they ship out in the future. Secondly, the cassette body being aluminium, there's no saver on there, so the sprockets, the steel sprockets, will eat into the aluminium body just as they do on any aluminium free hub body. So a little saver on there, since the wheels are nice and expensive and classy, they should have a free hub saver. That would be a nice feature as well. Well, that's it. We've run out of time. Keep riding your bike. Keep safe. We'll see you soon.